This is the pad I just installed for my new workshop I plan to build. If you haven't seen that video yet, you can check out the link that I'll have either on screen, in the description, maybe the comments section. Just use your Columbo-like investigative skills and you'll find it. Long story short, I had to raise the grade in this area 18 inches in order to make my workshop high and dry and make sure the bottoms of my footers would be above the natural soil levels. I explain all that in the site prep video. Go check that out. One of the things that you have to watch out for when you bring in fill like this is how it changes the water drainage and runoff. Now, I was aware of this and I made sure that the pad itself had a half bubble slope from the front right where the fence post is to the back left. I also cut in a swale along the side of the pad on the left in order to get water to drain around the pad instead of over it. It's been sitting here for about a week now and it's rained a couple of times already. That has allowed me to see if what I've done has worked so far and what improvements I need to make. Here is the base for what will be an extended driveway back to my workshop. Originally this was just side yard and it held water pretty much all the time. You couldn't walk over here unless you had muck boots on. It was pretty rough. So this too got 18 inches of hard pan to raise it up. Now our property has a slight slope from the front near the street to the back where the creek runs and serves as the property line. So all the water runs from the front to the back. Now, if I was the one putting a house on this property for the very first time, I would not have allowed that to remain. I would have had a water drainage plan in place similar to what I am doing for my new workshop. So since I put the base in for the driveway, most of the water seems to run down the right side of the maple tree along the property line and into the swale I just cut. So that side is looking pretty good. However, the left side between the house and the driveway, that water has nowhere to go. It runs down along here and it gets trapped in this area. So the plan is to install a 4-inch culvert. Shouldn't be that hard. I was going through some of the footage of what I've done so far in this workshop build, and I was trying to decide how in-depth I wanted to go with this. My last video, man versus fence post, was footage that was really just going to end up on the cutting room floor. But then in the 11th hour, I thought, you know, if I play this right, this is actually kind of funny and might make for an entertaining video. So I decided to just have fun with that video, and hopefully you did too. Plus, I'm sure there are people that have been there and done that, so hopefully it was relatable in some way. There was no deeper meaning of life with that video. It was just all about having fun. I didn't use the excavator to dig up that fence post when I had it because I didn't want to dig up that fence post. I wanted that fence. I was going to connect it to my workshop after I had built it with a gate. So digging it up with the excavator was not something that was on my radar. It wasn't until after it had rained a couple of times that I noticed a problem with the drainage, which then prompted me to take up that fence and install this culvert. Now, I wasn't going to cover this culvert either. But then I got to thinking about all the little things that go into a project like this and how they are never covered. And honestly, I think that is a tragedy because it leaves people thinking that everything should always run smoothly and that you should always have all your dots connected before beginning a project. And that somehow everything will just magically happen just like that. And I can tell by some of the comments that I've gotten so far that that is what people are thinking. And I'm just going to be honest with you, that is not how this goes. I don't care how many ducks you have in a row. Something is always going to come up that you weren't expecting. Now, people can tell you that that doesn't happen to them, and I'll stand here and tell you that that's a bold-faced lie. It is that mindset that results in someone hiring a contractor, them coming out, and somewhere in the middle of the job, something comes up that the contractor wasn't expecting. And they are unwilling to break from the plan that they had in place in order to do the right thing. I've been doing this for a long, long time, and I've hired subcontractors myself. And what I can tell you is that on every single project, something comes up that you didn't plan for. And I think sometimes people are afraid to admit that because they are afraid it's a reflection on them. And it's not. It doesn't mean there's anything wrong with you or the plans that you had. It just means you have to be ready to deal with how the ball bounces. How I am dealing with this bouncing ball is by installing a 4-inch culvert by hand without heavy machinery, where I really wasn't expecting to have to put one. The only lesson to be learned here is that if you're unwilling to change your plans as things progress due to time, money, maybe effort, or any other reason that you happen to be doing that project for, is a disservice. That is one of the biggest reasons why I DIY. I've got 4 or 5 inches of hard pan down in this area, and it's not too hard to get through that, but once I get down to the native soil, I start hitting all sorts of stuff. I thought I had gotten all of Steve's roots, but I kept finding new ones. Who knows where the heck they were coming from? Now this area here is about 10 feet in front of where my workshop is going. So I didn't excavate in this area because there was just no need to. Plus there is a Bradford pear tree that is only about 10 feet away from here as well. And I knew its roots were going to be in this area. I didn't want to go digging through here like a hootenanny with an excavator and end up with a dead pear tree in a couple of months. I like that pear tree, and I want to keep that pear tree. As I started getting over towards the swale, I started to hit random concrete pavers, concrete blocks, concrete cylinders, you name it, I was hitting it. And it actually became pretty obvious these items were not just haphazardly buried here. I think they were put here for a reason. I think somewhere in the past, a previous owner had tried to make this side of the yard serviceable, probably in the only way that they knew how. And that was to put down pavers, blocks, cylinders, whatever. So they put them down, and then over time, they probably just sank into the ground. So the next logical thing to do would be to put more pavers down. And that's what I was doing, is I was digging them up in layers. Here we start, and I may actually have to do a little bit more work here. Shouldn't be that difficult, he says. And so we go pretty straightforward over here. We go a little bit deeper as we approach this side. Decided to take a little bit of a jog right there, just because of that root I didn't want to fight with. And we should be pretty good on the grade here. So I think I'm going to take some measurements and lay some pipe and see what we got.
You're swimming with that stupid buried concrete, huh?
Here we go. So all I'm looking for is about half a bubble on the level, and that will give me the fall I need over to that swale. And I also don't need this to be all that deep into the ground. It doesn't have to be at its final grade now, because later on, after the workshop is built, I'm going to put some more hard pan in this area, and I plan to pour a concrete slab as well for additional workspace. So for now, I think we're looking good. This pipe that I'm using here, when we moved in, this pipe was actually attached to the downspouts on all 4 corners of the house. I've taken it off of 2. If you rewind this video, and probably the past couple of videos as well, you can catch a sneak peek of it. Earlier in this video, as I pan past the side of the house, you can actually see one of these pipes attached to the gutters on the front corner. I don't know. Maybe the previous owner didn't know anything about downspouts that are actually made for that purpose. Or maybe they just maybe they just found these. Maybe somebody gave them to them. You know, I'm not here to judge. All I know is I'm putting this thing to good use. Hey guys, thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe. If you haven't, visit me at simplyeasydiy.com. Until then,